Right now, we are living in the greatest time in human history, and if you don't see it that way, it might be time to check your perspective. Look back at history and see how people lived before us. We have more knowledge, resources, and opportunities to optimize our health and longevity than ever before. Every day, we're uncovering new insights about the human body, nutrition, and performance. The world is evolving in real time, and science, medicine, and technology are on the brink of a revolution that will transform how we live, age, and thrive. We have unlimited access to information, and with that, there's no reason to hold on to old school misconceptions or limiting beliefs. If you think something is impossible, you're likely just using outdated information. The reality, we don't even know what's possible yet. The breakthroughs coming in the next 5 to 10 years with AI will redefine what it means to be healthy and high performing. So take full advantage of this time. Go all in on your health. Ditch the excuses. There's no reason to be trapped by old habits or misinformation. The truth is more apparent than ever. You have to have the power to optimize your body, mind, and life in ways past generations couldn't even dream of. Dial into your health journey with us because the future is here and it's yours to take advantage of. Coming at you from Kaji Vision Podcast Studios in Stamford, Connecticut. Welcome to episode 9 of the Dialed In Podcast.
Almost at 10. Almost
there. Almost at double digits.
Double digits.
Welcome. Happy Sunday. How are you, my friend?
Feeling good. Missed you. Missed my boy Claudio over there.
Mm-hmm.
Miss you guys.
We got the band back together.
Band is back.
Some good energy in this house. We always come in and have a great pre-pod conversation. Sometimes I get a little cranky because we go a little bit longer than normally scheduled. So I do apologize about that. But
yeah, it's all right.
It's great to see you guys. And I do want to be the first person to wish you a happy birthday because you have a birthday coming up this Wednesday.
Wednesday, yes. The 5th.
So
Big 3-1.
Big 3-1. Big birthday shout to you.
Thank you.
Thank you to my brother, Christy Asprey, for giving me that information, that insider tip.
There you go.
Because I probably wouldn't have wished it to you.
Oh, wow. Chris knows my birthday. I like that.
He must be friends with you on Facebook still.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Got that little notification. But
Yeah.
Looking forward to diving in today. Speaking of birthdays, Nico just had his 3rd-year-old birthday last Sunday. We had some people over at the house, and we got pizza from Bellagio's.
Yeah.
I indulged in 4 pieces of pizza.
How was that?
I'd like to tell you about my experience eating the pizza. I wasn't that excited to have it. I just kind of had it by default. Like, it's Nico's birthday. I won't go in the kitchen and like cook for 30 minutes while we have company over. So I had the pizza. I had 4 slices. While I'm eating it, I'm like, this is just not that spectacular. It's like okay. It's almost like I went out on a date with somebody I used to date, and I'm not single, so what am I doing here? I was like, why am I here?
Yeah.
And then even the next day, it was like I went on a date with an old fling I'm not interested in. I'm like, oh, you cheated. Like, you cheated. What are you doing? It wasn't enjoyable, though, Mark. I got to be honest. It was cool, but...
maybe if you had good pizza.
It was good, but I think all of this mental coaching I'm doing with facts over flavor, info over emotion... It's training my like taste buds to not like be super feel that indulgent.
You gotta have my pizza.
But I like that. No. I don't want to love pizza, you know? I feel you. But just on the ride to work, I was just feeling like I cheated on my wife.
I used to go when I have a break because I'm over by there. It's like a quick, easy meal to get, cheap, and it like fills you up, but I don't really go there. I don't go there anymore. It's hard to get like good pizza. You really can't get it anywhere. That's why like in the summer I try to I get crazy and I start making it because I try to just make it from scratch. Yeah. But
this summer you're going to invite us over to your new house that you get, and we're going to have a lot of your homemade pizza.
You have no idea what you're in.
Book it.
You have no idea.
This week I started doing 10 squats an hour.
Nice.
It's not every single hour, but I try to set a reminder on my phone. I get the little alarm and I'll just drop down and do 10 squats. So just snacking on exercise throughout the day. So for people that are working at a desk, I have the luxury of working in a gym, so I could kind of do that anytime I want. But if you're working at a desk or living in having a sedentary profession, that could be a little, exercise hack for you.
So keep moving. It's the key.
Yeah. And what I'm learning too is, I think we're, as far as like health optimization, I think like results are happening way before research is. Research is so behind, I feel like, on a lot of this. And just as far as my like health journey, I want to just touch on some of the podcasters that I've been getting into. Because ever since I kind of had this awakening 4 or 5 months ago in September, it's when I started listening to health podcasts for the first time. And just listening to one, and then they'll have a guest on, and then you like that guest, then you're diving into their podcast. So it's just like new podcasts every day. And I'm on this health journey every day. I wake up and I have an hour commute into work, and it's like my lecture hall. Just such an opportunity, because technology, medicine, information is just rapidly, increasing every day. So just trying to capture as much as I can.
You're in a nice spot with it too, because you're just very curious with all of it now, and that's when it's fun to listen to these podcasts and listen to a study that maybe like Saladino was talking about, and like I get that fire under me when I'm just like listening to a podcast, or they're talking about something that I find interesting in research and like health. But where you're at, that's a nice spot. That's the curiosity that you have. Yeah.
Curiosity is a superpower.
Yes.
So this podcast is all about trying to share our experiences of success, the things that we do that are helping us, the products that we use. And this episode is going to be about some of the podcasts that we listen to that I think will be helpful for our audience to know, because these are, I think, the industry leaders, the people that are paving the way for longevity, for biohacking, for anti-aging. And it's just amazing how so many different people are leading their communities down this journey of health and wellness. And that's what we're doing here, trying to lead our community, try to build a community around it. And like I said early on, it's going to take way more than 1, 2, hundreds of, it's going to take, the more the merrier. So the first health podcast I ever listened to was Gary Brecka. In September is when I was listening to Gary V for 6 years. Gary V is my guy, still is my guy. I had Gary V on my podcast. He is like a social media guru, a business entrepreneur, leader guru. So I still am tapped into his content. But the next podcast I listened to was Gary Brecka. It was like, wow, I'm listening to a new podcast for the first time in 6 years, and it's a health podcast. Kind of feels like, I'm evolving a little bit.
Gary's nice.
Yeah. So Gary, let me just tell you a little bit about Gary. What did you look up about Gary while I find his bio?
Yeah, I mean, he's Gary's he's into, I won't use that word, but biohacking, and he's very into biology, and I mean, I listen to a lot of his stuff, and I agree with a lot of what he says, what he does. He did a huge transformation, if I'm not mistaken, on
Dana White.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember, like, if you know anything about Dana White, in his younger days, he was very involved in that world of MMA. There was a point in time where he was supposed to actually fight, because they didn't like each other. He was supposed to fight Tito Ortiz, but Tito Ortiz never actually went through with it. And he trained and everything, got in shape for it. So then over the years go on, I'm a huge fan of MMA. I love watching it. I really start noticing Dana White. I'm like, wow, he's really getting overweight, out of shape. I could just see it in his face. I'm like, he doesn't look good. And then I didn't know when he started his whole little journey with Gary Brecka, but quick, I noticed a huge difference in how he started to look. He just looked more. I'm like, oh, he must be working out again and paying attention to all this stuff again. And he just looks outstanding now.
Yeah.
And Gary went to him and was like, think he went to him with all of his blood work. And Gary was like, listen, do as I say for 12 weeks and I'll fix everything on you. And he did exactly that in 12 weeks.
So Gary Brecka is a human biologist. He's the co-founder of 10X Health, which is one of the leading voices in functional medicine and longevity. With a background in predicting mortality in the life insurance industry, he transitioned into helping people optimize their health through genetic testing, hormone balancing, and nutrient protocols. He believes in a personalized approach to health based on biomarkers and cellular function. His work has influenced high-profile clients like Dana White, helping them reverse health issues through targeted interventions like hormone therapy, proper supplementation, and oxygen therapies. I actually just bought his genetics test from 10X Health. So they sent me a swab. So I did a swab test, put it in, sent it back to them, and I'm waiting to hear my results on all my genetic testing. They're going to let me know what I'm deficient in and provide like supplementation advice. What do you think of that?
I think it's awesome. I think, where you're at, you're getting to that point where it's like you're trying to measure and account for, everything. I know someone else who did that genetic test. I just think the more you know, the better you can, help yourself. And I really like his philosophy. I like what he preaches. I like what he, he's not just selling a supplement. He's very educated on explaining why he's maybe talking about methylated, supplementation.
That's a big thing.
Because, everyone is, different. And to a health, he's great because he was in that world of like life insurance. So like he's seeing, what you're insuring for people. And it's like nothing's really being fixed. It's like, yeah, we're just insuring you for, with your bad health. And, he sees what's wrong. He saw what is wrong with the system. And, he's doing an outstanding job and he's helping a lot of people. His stuff is really awesome to listen to.
He had his breakthrough because he spent many years in the mortality business, so working for an insurance company, predicting when people are going to die.
Yep.
And then he finally took that skill and put it to good use and left the company, started his own, partnered with Grant Cardone with 10X.
Yep.
One of his beliefs is aging is the aggressive pursuit of comfort. And he just focuses on nutrient optimization and methylation pathways. Like the way he described is like crude oil. We make fuel in our cars from crude oil, but you can't put crude oil in the car. So it's got to be broken down through the process of methylation.
Got you.
He really woke me up to like white flour, just saying how if it says enriched or unbleached, it means it's been sprayed with folic acid. So every non-organic crop has been sprayed with this stuff, this synthetic vitamin.
Yep.
He has a podcast called The Ultimate Human. I would definitely check out that. So that is Gary Brecka. Oh, by the way, Gary Brecka, I did a podcast with his friend recently, Ken Jocelyn, who has a entrepreneurial faith-based conference called Create, but he had Gary speak at his conference. Ken is a former referee. He's been following my stuff for a while. So I linked up with him, got him on the podcast. At the end of the podcast, I said, hey, Gary's been super instrumental in my journey. Would love to interview him on the podcast. He said, sure, let me text him. Or he emailed his secretary. So anyway, long story short, we requested to have him on the episode. But as of now, he's booked until the end of the year. So we're going to try back later on. But a very nice exchange from his podcast team. So we're knocking on the door.
Yeah, it'd be awesome to sit and talk to him and pick his brain. Yeah.
I figure our first guest would just start at the top, you know? Why work our way up?
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have a guest until we get him on, so hopefully it's soon. But shout out to Gary Brecka. Next guy I want to talk about is Dave Asprey. He actually invented the word biohacking in 2011 because he couldn't get anybody his age to believe in like the word anti-aging or longevity. He was doing these clinics and only elderly people were showing up. So just by changing the words around, he got more attention and interest on it. But this dude is super interesting because he's a hacker. He was a computer hacker, like a genius computer hacker that helped build Google, helped build the early internet, has helped build AI. But then he turned that skill of computer hacking and he's a human hacker now, just trying to hack more ways of living longer and finding out just the best things on earth to give you that longevity.
Yep.
What did you
I mean, it's
pick
cool.
up from
I like seeing, you know, especially the other, you know, guys we're going to talk about. It's just cool seeing guys like this, like anyone at the level that they're at, and there's slight differences in their approach of what they're doing, but they're all kind of really getting at the same thing. And I think it's easy to grab like 3 bullets of like, oh, this is like what they believe in. But when you listen to all of them speak, the reason why I love a lot of these people is that what you do is different than what I do, and what I do is different than what Claudio does, right? So they're pretty good at educating you on, not pointing the finger at things that aren't really, the main problem, and educating you on, like Dave Asprey has a great point. It's like, it was down to the thing that we were talking about, like the more you can move longer and the less, you oxidize your body as you grow, the longer you can live. So that's the whole, theory behind his whole high fat, low carb diet. I look at that stuff as like carbohydrates are more, it's like higher risk, high reward energy. So guys like him are aim at, especially when you're not as young anymore, remove the high risk, high reward stuff and go to it's like more of an investment type of energy, fat. It's not as abrasive. It's not as impulsive on your body, which, I agree with. I've changed a lot about what I do. I used to be all protein and carbs and no fats. I was all into bodybuilding. And, in terms of healing and recovering and not making my blood sugar go so crazy all the time, which is good in a way, like as an athlete, because you're using that type of energy. But as I'm getting older, I'm starting to change the way that I think about this stuff. And when I look at how I eat, I kind of, for a few days, I'm eating high protein, low carb, and the fat is good. You know what I mean? I used to be complete opposite of that. So it's cool listening to all these guys.
So Dave is a pioneer in the biohacking movement. He's the founder of Bulletproof and creator of Danger Coffee. He popularized bulletproof coffee by blending high-quality coffee with MCT oil and grass-fed butter to enhance energy and cognitive function. Asprey hosts the Human Upgrade, formerly Bulletproof Radio, which is a podcast where he explores cutting-edge health science, longevity strategies, and performance optimization. He also co-hosts Biohacking, which is a new series. It's called The Science of Upgrading Your Mind and Body. It's on Gaia. So Gaia is a new health network that I believe Amazon owns. You get to it on Amazon. So if you're on Amazon Prime, you'll see a tab for Gaia, and it's all wellness content.
Nice.
So Asprey has a 10-part series called Biohacking. Each episode, it's really interesting. One episode's on fasting. One episode's on nutrition. Another one's on exercise. Another one's on cognitive function. Another one's on sleep, hormones. So he really, the 10 episodes really are 10 great components of this health journey. Definitely check it out. Let me know what you think. His diet prioritizes high-quality fats, grass-fed meats, wild-caught fish, organic vegetables, and strategic fasting. He's a big faster to enhance mitochondrial function.
I like that word, strategic fasting. I like that.
He speaks a lot about mitochondria, how important they are.
It's everything.
To our cells, right?
It's everything. It's literally everything. It's, when you read the book Burn, they talk about the mitochondria. It made me go down a crazy thought process of like, they were just talking about mitochondrial like mutation, and just thinking about that from like, I don't know, when dinosaurs were here, and it's like seeing that there was dinosaurs here to like where we are now. When in the book that he talks about how frequent mitochondria can mutate from even just 1,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, and just the littlest mutation, it just made me think of like that one little, mutation over just a millimeter to the right, 10,000 years later. I mean, you're somewhere totally different, So, it's the powerhouse, the mitochondria. It's everything. The book Burn really gets into, in a very simple way, the explaining the science of it. It's really, really cool. Yeah.
Interesting to note, a lot of these people we're going to mention, these people are all super dialed in, and many of them like were heavy. So Dave Asprey used to weigh 300 pounds. He's the dude who got to 4.8% body fat on one of the interviews. And I know you mentioned how it's not healthy and that he could,
It's not
that could only
it's-
be temporary. I know on his biohacking series, he mentioned his body fat was 8%. So maybe he's going up and down.
It's fine. It's just if you're exercising and getting to a point where you're becoming fasted in a way, meaning you ran out of everything that you have readily available. Now you're picking off what you got. Now you're in that window of opportunity of I'm out of carbs. All I have is protein and fat left. So it's like, you're really, really lean. In a controlled environment at your gym, no problem. You're climbing Mount Everest with 5% body fat. Good luck with that. You know what I mean? So, that's all. It's just that word that he used, strategic fasting, same thing. Strategic body fat percentage. You just have to know your activity and your lifestyle and be smart about it. That's all.
On his episode about nutrition, he talks about how he only works out 20 minutes a week. And like many of us overtrain. And he was a guy who used to go to the gym 7 days a week. Dave Asprey.
Yeah, he's more into
longevity, not necessarily optimizing current performance.
Yeah. It's not that. It's like you have a Ferrari. Ferrari's powerful. Drive the Ferrari every day. That car is going to be beat up really bad in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's going to be. He's trying to be a Prius where it could just drive at 20 miles per hour, but forever. That's what he's getting at. Another reason why I fell in love with the Ido Portal method is that's where he is with it right now, with the age that he's at. You look at the way he was moving 10 years ago, 20 years ago. He's just found ways to tap that type of aggression down with his training, and it's a lot more like constantly, moving. It's not he's doing back handsprings and crazy, intense, nasty muscle up routines. You have to change. You don't have to. It just comes at a price. So he's getting into longevity. I want to live forever and not be beat up. So he's trying to do what you're doing. I'm just going to do 10 squats every hour of the day. That's what he's doing. That's basically what he's doing.
He's big on movement throughout the day.
Yeah, because it's more muscle memory rather than you just work out for just 1 hour a day. It's more about, can you create that lifestyle? That's why I love stuff like that. People think it's nothing, but it means a lot. That's why Ido and his people, they're like, no, we want you to sit 30 minutes a day. We want you to hang 10 minutes a day. Don't do it in one shot. We give you that time so you spread it out throughout the day. Now from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night, you've hung a total of 10 times and sat in a deep squat 8 times just to get to those numbers. You're creating a lifestyle change. You're not just in the gym for 1 hour. You picked 5 people. They're all getting at the same thing, but there's just slight differences. Like, one is, super, like, less aggressive movement, more long-term. Then you look at, like, Paul. Paul's a little bit more, like, he's got, like, that muscle to him. He probably trains like that. I don't know how he trains. I've never seen the way he works out or anything, Paul Saladino. But he's always barefoot, and which I love that stuff. But this is what I love. Like, you look at all 5 of these individuals, they're in phenomenal shape. And it made me think, I was with a loved one yesterday, and they were talking to me about their blood work. And she was like, oh, my numbers, came back really, really good. And it just means nothing to me because I know where she's going. They're not looking at her blood work the way these 5 humans would be looking at her blood work, because this person's not, in my world and definition, not super healthy. And, I just think that's not good. Like, you're getting blood work and they're like, yeah, everything's good. No, everything's not good. You know what I mean? So it just, like, this is what I think healthcare should be what you just did. Oh, you signed on to this practice. All right, you're going to take a swab and we're going to run a genetic test on you. Like, that's how healthcare needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you're really going to start like seeing like, oh, well, yeah, you need, oh, you've been taking B vitamins. You can't even absorb these. You need, methylated this and that. Right. But, I like seeing people who practice what they preach, you know what I mean? And all these 5, they do different things, but they're all in extremely, really, really, really high level health. And, I think it's good to just listen to people and their perspectives, even if you disagree with it, because they are healthy,
And Dave is actually the only one on this list with no medical background. He's just learned everything as he's gone. And he's been so ahead of everything we're talking about. Like, Gary Brecka put me on to hydrogen water. This guy wrote an article on hydrogen water 10 years ago. So all of these things that I'm hearing, Asprey's been touching on it like a decade ago. And I really respect the people that have been doing this like a long time.
Yeah.
Like no one is that I know was doing this in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Right. And so to just see like his journey started in the mid 2000s, it's like, wow, he's really onto something innovative. And
well, it's hard back then because in order to do this stuff, you need, and that's kind of part of the problem right now, is you need to do research and you need money. You need like, maybe you're at a college, right? And you're getting, you get a $100,000 budget to, it's not cheap to run a study the right way. Like I've watched it happen at school, like doing studies. We're doing studies with 8 people conveniently in a class. We're doing, a study with 20 people and they're all on our campus, right? Then you're getting into like, is it a little bias? Like you're picking all your health professors and not, maybe, a professor that's, in another building, that's not in the health world, right? So I think back then the hard part was like it's money. Today you can have your own podcast, you can market yourself, and you don't need those types. You don't have to wait for that type of resource anymore. And I think that's why we have so much more availability to information like this. And back then it was a lot harder to get this stuff out there. But Paul was talking about like research studies and how there's thousands of research studies on things, and it's, you have to, and these guys are really good at doing that, is reading a study, seeing if it's, maybe it's talking about that fructose is bad. Yeah, it's bad because they're maybe studying it on rats, right? Or it's bad because they're only studying it on 50 people who all, are diabetic, right? You have to know what lens you're looking through in order to decipher the research that you're studying. So I just feel like these guys are really good at, deciphering that. And that's kind of where the abrasion is coming right now, is that, oh, well, there's no studies that say this yet. Yeah, but the studies are like done like this, so I was listening to talk about canola oil and
the results are coming before the studies.
Yeah.
These guys are all having results.
Well, dude, it was the point that I was saying on the other podcast. Like, we're not, with where we're at, like you and me, like mentally, we're not, and if I were to sit there and wait for certain things to tell me to help someone, I'd be waiting a lot longer to like help someone. We're not, if a research study comes out, great. We're not waiting for that. We're like trying, you get a result. Oh, wow, this works for me. You know what I mean? This works eating like this. It works eating like this and exercising like this. You don't need to wait. And I feel like everyone's waiting for like what Gary tells me to do or Paul tells me to do or whomever tells you to do. You know what I mean? Just start and do and try, because that's what they've done. They've tried. You don't think they failed at anything,
Sure.
maybe being slightly incorrect on something? No, you have to try, and that's what really like makes you absorb what you're learning about.
The next guru we'd like to mention is Mark Hyman. He is a functional medicine doctor and best-selling author and founder of the Ultra Wellness Center. He emphasizes food as medicine and promotes whole food, nutrient-dense eating to combat chronic disease and extend health span. Hyman is a vocal critic of the modern food system, often stating you can't exercise your way out of a bad diet, and pointing out that health claims are only found on bad food. That's an interesting thing, health claims. You only see health claims on junk food, on processed food. You'll never find it on like some of the healthy stuff. Raw milk, you'll never see that. Grass-fed beef, you see no health claims on it.
I want to read that email that, shout out to Miller's again. They sent a cool email saying exactly what you just said about why you're not going to see on any of our products of organic and this and that, because it gets into all that claim stuff. And they're like, it's a lot of those claims are just complete like baloney on most products. Like a lot of the products that are claiming things are not good products.
Right.
Like they're not. And they're actually like quite misleading. And I don't want to be vulgar, but like they're like lying about, it's like almost like misdirection.
Sure.
So.
Well, they're claiming these health claims in order to blind you from something that else is in the product.
Yep. I'll pull the email up.
It's like if you're telling the truth, you don't have to tell us.
Yeah.
You don't have to sell us on the truth. If you're selling, then you're lying. So his dietary approach includes high-quality proteins, healthy fats, and eliminating ultra-processed foods and added sugars. His books, including Young Forever and Food, What the Heck Should I Eat?, provides a roadmap to longevity and metabolic health. He has a podcast called The Doctor's Pharmacy. He gets into a 10-day detox diet. That's a really interesting episode where he just basically lists all the foods you can eat, all the foods you shouldn't eat in order to do this detox. Really packed with content. Super informative. Highly recommend you check out Mark Hyman. He's had a lot of good guests, and I wound up, like I said, going on and looking up their podcasts. Just new guests after new guests.
I'm trying to find the so Mark Hyman, I went down his rabbit hole when my wife was pregnant. She was eating, like outstanding, and the biggest thing that I read about is the mother's gut health while she's pregnant, and then when gives birth, and how the gut health gets passed right down to the baby. So Cassandra's diet was, insanely on point. Like the stuff she was supplementing as well. And then one of the things that Mark Hyman was talking about was supplementing, whether it was for the mom, but especially for the baby, was like a probiotic. So my daughter always had this probiotic that he recommended in her milk for quite a while. I probably did it for like the first 3 months. And then I just chilled out with it because I wouldn't say 3 months, probably longer than that. I think when she hit like 6 months, 5 months, when I could start giving her like yolk, like where I knew like she was getting probiotic in on her own now. But yeah, he ranted and raved about like gut health being passed on to the baby. So I was just always hyper aware of that, like for my daughter.
He has a good line. He says, our bodies are all bathing in a toxic soup of ultra-processed foods.
Yeah. Yeah, Saladino was talking some crazy, like, about how long, like, the remnants of toxins from seed oils and other things can, like, sit in our body. And it was pretty, I think he said up to 3 to 4 years it takes for your body to, like, recycle the cell membranes, like, out. So that stuff's not in your system anymore. It's pretty, pretty nuts. I'm trying to find this probiotic.
Let's get into Paul Saladino. He's known as the Carnivore MD. He's got a MD background. He turned advocate for carnivore nutrition. He's really the first person I seen on the carnivore diet eating protein on protein meals.
Yeah.
So just about as far as like reframing our thoughts on food, we look at our plate historically and we portion it out. You got protein, veggies, fruit, fats. That's what many of us are just trained to believe. He's kind of flipped that flipped it around. Now, you look at his plate, he's got beef, eggs, butter,
It's
with a little bit of fruit.
It's right now how my plate looks, like without the fruit right now.
Mhm.
But everyone always thinks like, oh, you're not eating. I don't know. You're not eating. There's no veggies.
Right.
Where's your carb? And I'm just like, I just know. I've just like read so much about this at this point where I'm just like, I'm eating 2 different proteins.
Yeah.
Like I looked at every one of these proteins that I'd rather get all of the nutrients and the protein out of this than take one of these things away, because I need the fat to come down so I can have the fat that's on like my vegetables, because I'm just like hardly absorbing anything out of the vegetable, and there's really not a lot in the, this specific vegetable. So that's kind of like where I'm at right now with how I'm eating. I'm just like protein, because I just know it's so nutrient dense. I mean, I'm getting good stuff, but still. Yeah.
I was thinking of that on the ride yesterday, protein on protein. Like your main course is protein and your side is protein.
Yeah.
Last night I had steak and eggs and I had ground meat on the side.
Yeah.
With an apple.
Yeah. I mean, once you do that, dude, you feel so good after you eat it. Like when I eat like that, like especially in the morning, 3 eggs, like ground beef. I was telling Claudia, like ground beef, but like, just not a crazy amount of cheddar, but like, some cheddar. And I just hit like that 40 grams, 50 grams of protein in that breakfast without a whole bunch of carbs and maybe like something bready and, oats. And dude, I feel like $1,000,000 for at least 4 hours, 5 hours. I just feel amazing. I feel perfect. Yeah. I don't feel like that when I'm eating other things. Oh. Yeah.
If I tried to have my dinner last night in 1997, it would have been looked at so much differently.
Yeah.
Not for the benefits. It'd be like, oh, you're eating a lot of fat, like all that meat. Like, it's just amazing how times are changing and right in front of us.
Oh, well, yeah, they ran like the whole narrative for like so long. Like, oh, your grandfather probably had a heart attack because he ate so much red meat and steak. Like, yeah, maybe it was because like he smoked cigarettes and worked in a coal mine for like 10 years of his life. Maybe it was that, you know what I mean? And not the steak,
right?
So, and then fat, fat has been demonized for so long, we can get into like, is the fat, it's kind of what we were talking about with pork, like not buying cheap pork.
You like that cheap pork clip?
Yeah. But it's, you're buying some bad stuff, and a lot of the bad stuff is stored in the fat of an animal. So, we'll give it that. But, I give my daughter like butter sometimes.
Straight up?
I just like, I just give her butter.
I saw this other biohacker, Eddie. He eats all protein. He had like 10 eggs on his plate with cheese and little pieces of butter that he was just popping in, eating. Mm-hmm. And he ends every video, says, wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
Wake the fuck up.
Yeah, this probiotic brand that, this is the one that I found when I was down the Mark Hyman rabbit hole, Avivo. And that's what my daughter was taking for like the first 4 or 5 months when she was born. I had it in all of her milk. Mm-hmm. And my daughter, like, listen, I was much older than my siblings. I grew up around kids from a very young age. Like I was around all 3 of my siblings when they were born, when they were infants, when they were toddlers. So like I'm not unaware of the behavior of children, and like my daughter has very, 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 I mean, I really don't remember a time where like my daughter has had bad issues, with acid reflux, spitting up. Like she's never had ever that issue. Like she got sick maybe like 2 months ago. She got a virus. She was throwing up. Other than that, like my daughter does not spit up. Like she's never spit up. She's never rejected too much of something. And I just think it has to do with like her gut health. I think it's super, super important. I mean, I'm obviously really crazy about the ingredients that she was eating, especially the first year. But I just think it makes a big difference. And I also think it just takes a lot of stress away from you as a parent. Like that sucks. Like when you're I don't know, maybe with family and your kid is like, going through it. They're really, really gassy. They're spitting up, they're not sleeping as well. I think it helps you as a parent. You know what I mean? Like we never had issues with my daughter sleeping in the middle of the night. and like, you know, she'd get colicky at that 8 p.m. time. Some kids are like that, but that was it. It was just like a little 30-minute period, and I've never had issues with my daughter spitting up. Like, she never was spitting up and like really, really gassy or anything. I just think it really has to do with our gut health.
Couple more things about what Paul eats throughout the day. Not this Paul Saladino.
Yep.
But this Paul eats similar to the other Paul. Meat, approximately 1 to 2 pounds of grass-fed meats like ribeye, steak, 80-20. Organs, he's big on organs. Liver, heart, testicles, to ensure those vital micronutrients. Now, this guy was going full carnivore for a while.
Yeah.
And then he lessened his stance and started adding more carbs.
Yeah.
So he's added honey has been a big part. I've never seen anybody talk about honey until him. Mm-hmm. He puts it on like his proteins.
That's good.
And I'm a big fan of honey. I know we've mentioned it on the show, but he kind of put me on to honey. So he has introduced carbs like fruit, papaya, bananas, pineapple, mangoes. He drinks a lot of natural orange juice, which I don't hear many people talk about oranges, but he lives in Costa Rica, so he might be going based on where, you know, his geography and what he can get fresh. Mm-hmm. But he's talked a lot about orange juice, watermelon juice, juices it himself. Raw dairy, he's big on. Pasture-raised eggs. Just to name some of the things that Paul Saladino is doing. And he actually, let me break out one of my supplements of the week.
What you got, bro?
Mark, we got to talk about these testicles, bro.
What you got?
What? It's a nutrient-dense food.
Oh, come on. I've been on it.
I got a whole package, new multivitamin. It has organs, testicles, liver in it. What do you think?
This is, my wife was, this is what she was, not this one. She was taking the bone and liver one her entire pregnancy. The entire time. This stuff's outstanding. Really good. What I always say is don't just, great, try to also get it though.
Try to get what?
Like liver. Eat it.
Try to get liver? I thought you were going to recommend the other thing to try to get.
What? What, testicles?
Because I'm keeping that in pill form.
Keeping that in pill form. Oh yeah, this stuff's awesome. It's great, but you know, always try to also get it. I tried liver a little bit. The liver pate is really, really good. That's what you would like. But like that's what I was doing for my daughter. I have liver in my freezer right now. Sometimes it's frozen. I make her eggs and because she won't taste it like that, I just shave it on the eggs.
Can't taste it?
No, you won't taste it like that.
Don't smell it?
No,
You
not
don't
like
get
that.
a sense it's near?
No, because especially like when it's frozen like that, it just doesn't have you don't taste it. You really don't. With the liver pate though, that's outstanding. Oh, that's crazy. The more you cook something, like especially like that, you shouldn't really have to cook it too much, really. With like an organ meat, it's a little bit different with like skeletal tissue, like muscle tissue. You want to break it down a little bit, but especially with the liver, all the organ meats, like you want to try to absorb every nutrient as possible. So like, I would say the more raw that it is, the more. You're not going to want to eat it like that in that way of shaving it on. You just don't even taste it. Like some people eat raw liver. I'm not into that. Yeah, that's intense. People do that. But liver is just like insanely nutrient dense. So it's one of the things that like I constantly had my daughter eating every morning when she started eating egg yolk. Always had liver. Yeah. Especially at that age, you're trying to get them in, like as much nutrients. It's not like as much protein, fats, and carbs. You're trying to get that child as much of a nutrient-dense diet as they can.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast. Just wanted to thank you for being here and joining us on this journey. The fact that you're here shows your commitment to your own transformation, and that's something you should celebrate. We're here to help you every step of the way, and we want to hear from you. So if you have questions or thoughts or breakthroughs that you want to share, reach out to us directly at thedieledinpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on any one of your socials. Now, let's get back to the podcast. They say liver is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. It's rich in vitamin A, high in B vitamins, iron, copper, choline. And they say testicles are the ultimate testosterone booster. Rich in enzymes, peptides, high in cholesterol, contains specific nutrients for male health. So I wanted to tap into the liver, but I was not ready to eat it. So this is a good common ground for me.
Yeah, the liver pate you would love because it just tastes like butter. You season it.
I mean, the word pate I don't love. It just sounds
You wouldn't even
little nasty.
if I gave it to you on a like a good piece of bread, you would be like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted in my life.
You feel that strongly about it?
It's unbelievable. Yeah,
Wow.
Because it's just fat. Just using butter and just seasoning the living crap out of it and mixing it with, liver. It's outstanding. It's very, very good. But, you have to, dose it right so you're not sitting there eating 40 grams of fat in one sitting with sourdough bread.
Right.
But it's awesome. But that's a good start.
Yeah. So Saladino has this supplement brand called Heart and Soil.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he has a food brand called Lineage. I know he sells beef sticks, protein powders, stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't know.
So a lot of these people were mentioning they have their own, they're from the medical, they have a medical background. They have a podcast. They have products. They have a community.
Lineage
They're content
Provisions?
creators.
Lineage Provisions?
Lineage Provisions, correct.
I got to check this out. Get some beef sticks.
Yeah.
I got so much in my drawer right now.
Do you?
Yeah.
I just placed another order.
My daughter loves them.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. I have to, I open it and I have to, I chew the lining off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I give her, I give her like half of one and she just walks around with a beef stick.
And then the last guy I want to talk about, he's very interesting. His name's Bryan Johnson. He has a company called Blueprint and a brand called Don't Die. It's a conference too called Don't Die. He's a tech entrepreneur. He's the founder of Braintree, which sold to PayPal for $800 million.
Wow.
So he's invested millions annually into reversing his biological age through a comprehensive health regimen known as the Blueprint Protocol. He's known for his extreme commitment to anti-aging, spending over $2 million annually on his Blueprint Protocol, which includes a strict diet, extensive supplementation, and advanced medical treatments. It's funny, we're all marveling over the fact he spends $2 million. We marvel that LeBron James spends $1 million. Bro, people spend $1 million on other things that are not related to living longer.
Yeah.
Like a lot of other things.
Yeah.
But we're like, oh, he spends $1 million. I feel like this should be normal for people with that kind of money, or to not just for the regular person. You should be investing your money in health. Mm-hmm. You're not investing in anything health related.
Yeah. I know.
So the Blueprint is a project documenting his anti-aging journey and protocols. He follows a strict science-based routine, measuring numerous biomarkers, and consumes a calorie-controlled plant-heavy diet. His regimen includes meticulous meal planning, supplementation, and lifestyle modifications aimed at reversing aging. He built his life around sleep. So that's his first thing he's done. Everything maps to making sure he gets enough sleep. He's got the highest sleep score in the world. He's developed a leaderboard with this. So much like, the Fitbit. Like if you were to register your info on Nike, you can be part of that dashboard.
Yep.
Peloton, they have their own. He has one for health. And I believe there's 700,000 people on it. That might not be the number, but it might be 7,700, 700,000, something, one of those numbers.
Yep.
He's number one on it. It's just interesting how there are stats for health now, worldwide leader stats. I find that super interesting.
Yeah, you can look like with my Whoop a little bit. It does that when you go on the app, and you can get into that, seeing who has the best sleep, who has the best recovery percentages, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, this guy, when he was making all of his money and sold his company, he was not down this health journey. If you look at pictures of him, he's bald, he's overweight, looks sloppy. His skin, like if you look at him now, he looks like a boy.
Mm-hmm.
His skin is like see-through clear. He's got his hair back.
Mm-hmm.
Looks way younger than he did 10, 15 years ago. But that's encouraging. Like, he's the best in the world, quote unquote. And look at where he was 10 years ago.
Yep.
He was not down this path.
Mm-hmm. So
you can gain this momentum rather quickly if you could transform your life and make these changes. He's an extreme version of it. It's interesting that he's doing this on a vegan diet. Now, he's just chose to be vegan. It seems like he's doing this just to debunk people's claims that you can only do it on a protein. So he's trying to debunk a lot of misconceptions. So I feel like the fact that he's doing it vegan is like strategic, just to prove that he can do it this way. But I'll take you through what he eats in a day. He has this longevity mix. Claudio, you have it upstairs. It's just like a fruit powder supplement drink. Mm-hmm. So he takes that. He takes 11 grams of collagen protein and creatine in the morning. 1 teaspoon of inulin. Mm-hmm. And then he has actually, I'm looking at Dave Asprey. Hold on, let me find what Bryan eats. Give me a second. But he's treated his hair. His hair has grown back. He puts on this helmet every day.
He's like Magneto.
He's like phenomenal at brushing his teeth. He has all these devices, lights, does the red light therapy.
Yeah, the red light therapy is pretty big right now. Pretty big. We might have to switch to red light in here, Claudio. Get that red light going. We should just turn the whole pod in here into a red light therapy session, now that I think of it. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, hit me with the red real quick. Yeah, there we go. Get that red light therapy going.
So he's doing it with a lot of supplementation too. He used to take like 200 pills a day, but since he's made that blueprint mix, he put all of the good tasting pills he takes in that mix, and all the bad tasting ones he takes in pill form. Cool. So that was a way to reduce his pill intake.
Yeah,
but
he's just experimenting at like a crazy level, but like that's what I try to like tell people, like experiment with yourself. Like I tell people, like, weigh yourself at night and weigh yourself in the morning. Don't do it to like get worked up about like, oh my God, my weight. I'm saying get in tune with yourself and seeing based on what you're eating, how much you're eating. You know, maybe you're going to find out like, oh, when I eat like this, you know, my weight stays the same. My weight, you know, goes up or my weight goes down. Like treat yourself like that science experiment. You know, you can get crazy and be like, every time you eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, write down how you feel 30 minutes after. You know what I mean? But that's how we should be, you know, looking at ourselves. Like it's the most important science experiment you can run. It's on yourself, you know, with your health, you know.
Absolutely. What other experts that you follow that you want to share with our community?
They're pretty good. I just follow a lot of, you know, people who match up with just like my lifestyle and what I'm doing. I mean, Paul's kind of up there, Saladino. But you know, like that's why like I really, back then I used to go on, am I good? Back then I used to, you know, I would just like search and read into things maybe that like Ido Portal was doing with his diet, how he would eat, just because I want to hear from the person that's moving in the way that I'm moving and living the way that I'm living. So I just try to listen to people who mimic my lifestyle. You know, maybe like if I'm training in jiu-jitsu and it's a lot of wear and tear, you know, how are the top 5 guys? What do they do? You know what I mean? But Ido is someone that I've always kind of, I just think everything that guy has done is just no bullshit. There's no fad thing about it. It's just you move, and then this is how you fuel to move. And he wasn't going to all these popular places and people who have some sort of, I don't know, like financial interest in what they're saying. This guy just like disappeared for like years and went around the world and learned from, you know, a Buddhist monastery and listening to monks. And, you know, he went to places where he didn't even speak the same language as these people. And he literally just had to communicate on the fly for a 2 or 3 week span, just physically trying to communicate with each other and moving and exercising and working out together. And, so I just find like with him, there has been no bullshit with that guy. He's just learned from the people who practice and preach all of this stuff. He has a really cool podcast that he went on with Huberman. That was actually pretty cool. It's super intense though. It's like listening to just two geniuses talk. It's a little rough. Yeah.
You got to slow it down.
Yeah, Huberman's no joke. Sometimes you need to like really strap in and get ready to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the thing. If you're not in the mood, if you don't have a clear mind, if you have too many mental tabs open, don't sit down and listen to this stuff.
Yeah. It could be a little, and listen, like that. This is what I try to do for people. I try to listen to stuff like this and simplify it into layman's terms. Because everyone's living their life, doing their thing, working, trying to feed their family, trying to find balance in when they're going to exercise, when they're going to enjoy themselves. So I try to just simplify all this stuff for people and just give it to them in little spurts, like, while they're working with me. Because I just find that that's what really gets it to stick with them. I send them a podcast. Hey, listen to this for 3 hours. They're going to walk out of it like, what in the world did I just listen to? So I try to just simplify things. And George Lockhart really made me connect with that. He said when I was getting certified with him, he's like, if you can't explain carbohydrates and glycogen to someone in very, very, very simple layman's terms, he's like, you don't understand it. He's like, you just don't. He's like, you can read the fancy stuff like in this book right now and tell me all about glycogen. But he's like, if I were to ask you right now, decipher that for me, but say it to me as simple as possible. And he's like, if you can't do that, he's like, you don't really understand it. And he's like, and you're not going to get people to listen to you, right? Mm-hmm. And I really connected with that because I had a very good nutrition professor. I spoke a lot about him already. I always connected with what he was saying because he was very good at doing that. So I have found that, over the past, few years of me working with people really listen to me because I just simplify everything for them and it just gets it to stick, and they just start looking at everything that they're doing much differently because, I didn't explain to them the Krebs cycle.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
And that's what Gary Brecka did for me. He was the first person to really simplify all of this challenging information that previous years I was not interested in.
Yep.
Or didn't have the capacity to learn. Mm-hmm. A little bit more about Bryan Johnson's routine after his longevity mix at 5:25 a.m. 6:45 he has a nutty pudding, which is a nutrient-dense meal comprised of macadamia nuts, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, berries, and pomegranate juice. Then he has a mid-morning meal at 9 a.m., super veggie, he calls it. It's black lentils, broccoli, cauliflower, mushrooms, garlic, ginger root, lime, cumin, apple cider vinegar, hemp seeds, and extra virgin olive oil. He's a big fan of EVO. He drinks 2 shots of it a day. You ever drink olive oil? Mm-hmm. I think I might start doing that.
Extra virgin is awesome. You just got to get a good one.
He takes the pea protein as a way to supplement. I was curious, like, okay, you're a veggie, but how are you getting your protein in? And he takes 110 grams of protein a day. Mm-hmm. He was at 120, but he noticed it impacted his sleep. Mm-hmm. So he has just like everything dialed in. Mm-hmm. All of his ingredients have been tested. He has a group of doctors with him. His last meal is 11 a.m. The last time he drinks a liquid is 4 p.m. And I guess he goes to bed at 8. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. The just not eating from 11
He's just
on.
Trying to not get his body to do anything else besides focus on it's time to sleep and recover. It's whether you're active, whether you're trying to sleep, when you have food in your stomach, anything in your system, in your stomach trying to be broken down. And I'm not even talking about like, even our guts are much less cleaner than his. Like from I think it's good to look at it like this. It makes you understand it from a performance standpoint. If anything is in your gut, still in there, trying to be broken down, whatever, and you're trying to perform, it takes away from your performance. So from a sleep standpoint, and his body's trying to put 100% attention on I'm sleeping and I'm recovering, and it's doing everything it needs to do. That's what he's doing. He's trying to give his body zero reason to focus on anything else. Like, oh, you still got a little left over in your, we got to produce some more stomach acid. Let's do that right now, at 9 p.m. at night. Yeah, he's just trying to let his body do its thing. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
So I really admire these people that we mentioned. I think back of people I admire along my life, like as far as celebrities or influencers, whatever. Actors, I think actresses, we all have at some point, athletes, right? Musicians, rappers. But now for me, it's who are the healthiest people in the world?
Yeah.
What are their routines? Who is, optimizing their wellness the most? Those are the people I'm gravitating towards. Those are the people I want to learn from. Those are the people I want to watch. So it's nice to have them kind of paving the way, watching what they do, reacting to that.
I notice I just get more like, I love movies. I love watching stuff. And it's so funny. Like I notice, with athletes too, but it's just by default, they're obviously like in shape, but I do it with like a lot of actors or like actresses, but more so actors. Like when I see the shape that they're in, and I'm like, and I think like they're also like natural, and I could just like tell just by my experience now. I'm like, nah, like he's dialed in. Like he's like Jason Statham. Jason Statham's awesome. Like he's in insane shape, but I'm like, yeah, he's in shape, but he's flexible. Like he can move. I'm like, no, he gets it. Like, I'm like attracted to seeing people that are like I just respect it so much. I'm like, oh, they're not just like looking good for a movie. Like they're trying to be really healthy. I just notice,
Well, I want to know, like, what do you do every day? Tell me what you do when you wake up. What are the things you consume? How do you move? What are you putting in your body? Just being able to learn from each person's success.
Yep.
I think it's appropriate that we speak about processed foods, because I know that's a bit of a generic term. We all say processed foods. What does it mean? There's different categories of it, right? So let's get into, there's a NOVA classification system. You ever heard of it? Great. It's a widely recognized framework that categorizes food based on the extent and purpose of their processing. It was developed by research at San Paulo University. It's called the NOVA classification system. So there's 4 stages. There's one is minimally processed food. So it's minimally processed ingredients. I don't know. 2 says processed culinary ingredients. 3 says processed foods. You'd have to check on the classifications. 4 is ultra processed foods. Let's get into each one. So 1 is unprocessed or minimally processed foods. So these are natural foods that have undergone minimal processing to preserve their natural state. Some of these processes include cleaning, removing, drying, crushing, grinding, refrigerating, freezing, pasteurizing, and fermenting, and vacuum packaging. So it's just interesting. We say processes. These are the processes. These methods do not add substances like salt, sugar, or fat. Some examples are fresh, dry, frozen fruits and vegetables, grains such as rice and oats, legumes, beans, and lentils, frozen meat, milk, yogurt, eggs. These are all number 1, stage 1, or category 1, minimally processed foods. That's good.
I'm looking at all the group 4 foods right now, highly processed. Yep.
We want to stay away from group 4. Get out of group 4. Number 2, processed culinary ingredients. Do you have that as number 2 too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. These are substances extracted from unprocessed foods from nature, used in kitchens to prepare, season, and cook food. Processes include pressing, refining, grinding, milling, drying. These are typically not consumed on their own, but are combined with foods from group 1 to make dishes. Some examples are oils from seeds, nuts, and fruit, butter and lard, sugar and syrups, salt. Stage 3, processed foods. These products are made by adding salt, sugar, and other substances from group 2 to group 1 foods. Processing methods including canning, bottling, in some cases non-alcoholic fermentation. The primary purpose is to increase the durability of foods or to modify their taste. Some examples: canned vegetables and legumes, salted or sugared nuts and seeds, cheeses, freshly made breads of wheat flour, yeast, water, and salt. 4, ultra-processed foods. These are formulations made mostly or entirely from substances derived from foods and additives with little or no intact Group 1 foods. They often contain ingredients not commonly used in culinary preparations, aka food-like substances, such as high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, flavor enhancers, emulsifiers. Processes include extrusion, molding, and pre-frying. These products are designed to be convenient, hyper-palatable, and have a long shelf life. Some examples: soft drinks, packaged snacks, candies, instant noodles, soups, reconstituted meats, massed packaged produced breads and buns. Processes involved in each group. Group 1, cleaning, trimming, drying, grinding, refrigeration. Yeah, we talked about these. So just interesting how we have 4 different stages of ultra-processed foods.
Yeah, I just like, that's like why, like, I just every chance I get, like, I just like go into my basement, go into the freezer, my stash, and just take a steak out, because I'm just like, this is the right from the source as much as like I can eat from, and it's so nutrient dense. So that's why, like, I'm just always trying to eat, one of the steaks that I have. I try to stay away from all the other stuff, like, as much as I possibly can. The sourdough bread I'll like have laying around, because I finally found a nice bakery close to me that makes a really good sourdough.
What's the name of the bakery?
Cheese. What's it called?
It's in Croton, New York, I think.
Brewster.
Bakery.
Brewster. Let's see. It's called the General Bake Shop.
I had Ezekiel bread this morning because today is my carb day, even though that's not loaded with carbs. But I enjoy Ezekiel bread. It comes in a freezer. You got to put it in the freezer because it'll go bad.
Yeah.
But I had it with my eggs today. It was nice.
Trying to see if
it's a sprouty bread.
Oh, so I'll give you a little bit about the bakery I go to. I could just tell by the quality of this stuff when I walked in. I was driving past this place all the time. And it just, because it's a general bake shop, I'm like, how crazy can it be? So I just go in one day because I'm just like, it's Sunday. And I'm like, I don't want to get bread from the grocery store. We're about to make, sauce. And I'm like, I don't want the Bastone from one of these. I just don't feel good after I eat it.
Sorry, keep talking. I'm going to take my testicle pills now. I haven't taken them yet.
So I'm like, let me just go check that bakery out. And I walk in and I see the chef, the baker. He's got a hat on. And I'm like, this guy. And now I've never read about him before. I just pulled this up. As soon as I saw him, the hat he was wearing, and seeing the bread, and then seeing some of the pastries that he made, like he made like a Boston cream donut, and I could just tell by looking at it the quality of it. And then when I bought the bread and I ate it, I'm like, oh my God, this is so on point. It's so good. I could just tell right away, like it's like very well done how it's made. And I don't feel bad after I eat it. I'm not eating a lot of it, but and sure enough, his name's David, and someone he works with, I guess. They've been working together at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Manhattan for the past 6 years. And they decided to just open this, bakery. But when I had the bread, I'm like, no, this guy knows what he's doing. Because I've been to like other bakeries, and it was just very organized, and baking is pretty hard. So you have to really know what you're doing. It's very hard there's so many different variables involved in it, like when you're making sourdough. So once I had it, I'm like, this is top-notch stuff. So that's where I've been going to get stuff, because I know he's making it fresh and I can get it right there. Yeah.
We talked about food being addictive and how like scientists have created it that way. So have you ever heard of the term the Bliss Point?
No.
Oh, Claudio, ever heard of Bliss Point? I think this is important for us to know, guys. This is strategic.
Bliss Point.
So the Bliss Point is a critical concept in food science that refers to the precise balance of sugar, salt, and fat engineered to make food as pleasurable and addictive as possible. This point is where the combination of these ingredients maximizes the palatability of processed foods, making them nearly irresistible.
Yeah.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
Yeah.
Food scientists meticulously test and refine formulas to hit this sweet spot, ensuring that customers keep coming back for more. The purpose of designing foods around the Bliss Point is to drive overconsumption and increase sales, which is why processed foods often lead to unhealthy eating habits. Here's how the Bliss Point is engineered. Do I have your attention?
Yes.
Okay, I know I do. Number 1, sugar optimization. Just enough sugar is added to maximize pleasure without overwhelming the taste buds. Number 2, fat enhancement. The right amount of fat creates a creamy or satisfying texture, making food more indulgent. Number 3, salt balancing. Salt is used not just for taste, but also to heighten the effects of sugar and fat, making food more addictive. Sometimes when you put salt on something sweet, it gets even sweeter.
Yeah. I mean, you just eat bread and butter, and it has like salted butter too, and it has this like that perfect like balance to it. And just sit there. It's why everyone like wants chips. Like I like chips. That's why you're just getting like that whole profile in there, and then you switch over to something sweet after.
Here's some of the health impact. It increased cravings, so processed foods designed to hit the Bliss Point often override natural satiety signals. Did I say that right?
Satiety.
Satiety. Society. Leading to overeating. Obesity and metabolic disorders. These hyper-palatable foods contribute to weight gain, insulin resistance, and poor metabolic health. Diminished taste sensitivity. Over time, regularly consuming foods optimized for the Bliss Point can dull taste receptors, making natural foods less appealing. Shocking that you find broccoli boring after you just had Cheetos.
Yeah.
Examples of Bliss Point foods: soft drinks, flavored coffees, potato chips, snack foods, fast food meals, packaged cookies, everything packaged, flavored yogurt, sweetened beverages. So these are put in by these food companies who hire these scientists. Now, these scientists were employed in the tobacco industry before all of these food companies bought, before all the tobacco companies bought the food companies. And then they had their scientists now make the food addictive in these food labs. So
Yeah, I think it's
by design.
Who's it? Nabisco? What is it? Nabiscus and Kraft. It's Kraft, Nabisco and Kraft. Yeah, I think the original they were doing tobacco first, and then all the stuff started coming out, obviously about tobacco, and then they just like tried to like, we gotta switch this up. Let's go switch over to a more incognito way of poisoning people. That's literally what they did. Yeah, it's genius.
It's crazy.
Yep.
So we got to be aware of these things. You got to know that this is by design, that the food, these packaged foods are like strategically making you more addicted to it and fiend for it even more.
Yep.
Eliminate it. You won't have to desire it anymore.
Just gotta try. Like, take a few days or a week and remove all that stuff and just start getting a little bit more in tune again. What it's like to like eat, cooked food that you're doing on your own, like whole source food. And then when you go back to the other stuff, you're like, oh wait, wow, like you're more sensitive to it now again. You start tasting like me, like I don't like if there's like a birthday party and there's cupcakes or there's a cake, I can't stand icing like that. I just can't eat it. Like it does nothing for me. I don't want it near me. Like I don't like it at all. And it's like super high like sugar content, but it's just like so synthetic to me. It's just like too much. That's why like I don't eat dessert much. That's why. I just have that relationship with it now where I'm like, I went out to dinner the other day for a birthday thing at Wolfgang. I was the only one at the table who wasn't eating dessert. Everyone ate.
Oh, Mark, is something wrong? You feeling okay?
Everyone ate so much. All I ate was, what did I eat?
What's wrong with Mark?
All I ate on the table was, I just was like,
What's wrong with Mark? He's trying to optimize his life. That's what he's doing.
All I ate was a steak. They had like huge porterhouses come out. They were like, really good. All I ate was, I was like, I'm just eating all steak. And then then everyone ordered dessert, and I remember just like sitting there, dude, and I'm just like, because I just watched what we all ate. I only ate steak, but all the other stuff that was on the table. And I just remember being like, just calculating the calories in my head of how much everyone just ate. And then everyone ordered dessert. And it wasn't like me, like if I get dessert usually, especially out, like I'll just like, I know how to tame it. I'm just like, give me one spoon, boom, that's it. And I'm good. I hit the craving, I'm good. And I'll drink a whole bunch of water. Like everyone ordered dessert and everyone devoured it. And I'm just sitting there drinking my cappuccino. I'm just like, wow. Like this is all of the time being done all of the time. And no, like, and then 10 minutes go by and everyone's like this. Just like this at the table. You can just see like everyone's blood sugar is just going like crashing. Mm-hmm. And I was just sitting there drinking my espresso. Yeah.
This guy's drinking his espresso, doing spinal waves.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's, it's a lot. You start to, I just think I feel like it's getting worse with how people are eating. And I think, you might not like this, I think it has to do with some of this, the stimulation, the TV's always being on and the phone. And then people are like in bed at 11 o'clock at night like this on their phone in the morning. And I think that stuff mentally burns you out and you're getting addicted to stimulation, that people get that from eating. And I think that's has added to the problem drastically. You don't see these problems people who put their phone down or leave it in their backpack and go on a hike. You don't see these cravings, these rushes in that way. You don't see it with those people. So
we're speaking about processed foods and the bliss point. So I think we have to engineer strategies and things to block this, right? So I have something. It's called a gag reflex. I don't know if I've mentioned to you that I have a gag reflex.
No, you didn't mention it.
Yeah, so ever since my transformation, once I started eating clean, all of the non-clean foods now, I gag when I think of them. Mm-hmm. So like fried food, if I think of it, throw up in my mouth. Mm-hmm. Alcohol, throw up in my mouth. Ultra processed ingredients, sodium benzoate, guar gum, throw up in my mouth. Yeah. And it's helpful. So I wanted to do research. I'm like,
don't say guar gum.
Yeah. I'm like, this is good. I think this is an effective strategy. What am I doing here? So I looked it up. So my instinctive gag response to processed foods is a form of food aversion. Yeah. Where my body reacts negatively through sensations like nausea or gagging to specific foods. Mm-hmm. This reaction can be effective in modifying eating behaviors as it creates a strong negative association with unhealthy foods, leading you to avoid them. Hold on a second.
That's funny. Hey.
What's up, man? How you doing? Oh, you're in the studio? Yeah, we're on the podcast. I got Mark here. Say hello.
Yeah, we got you live right now.
Welcome to the Dialed In podcast, Christopher Diaz-Barra.
Who else would you call me by my government? That's not cool.
Well, I already mentioned you on the podcast because I gave Mark a birthday shout out and I said thanks to your heads up. So
I just want to say I love you.
I'll never forget your birthday, bro. It's the day before mine, ever. I'll never forget it.
Oh, he's the 4th?
He's the March 6th. Happy early birthday to you, Christopher.
Mark, the day before my birthday would indicate that my birthday's after yours.
March 6th. I knew I loved you. You're a Pisces.
I wanted to get him on the podcast too, and he wouldn't agree to do it, but this interaction
I'll get him on.
Got him on. So, hey, I'll give you a call after, my boy.
Oh, that's it? That's all the
Oh, you want to stay with us?
I'm not really... I mean, I'm just saying, you're asking me to come on the podcast, now you're kicking me off. Why would I want to come back?
I didn't want to make you feel uncomfortable. I know you like to rush these goodbyes.
If you call a radio station, do you hang up on the caller? Is that what you do?
No, you have a fair point. But I know you like to rush goodbyes. You rush.
That's only on a personal level when sometimes, just the combo goes dead. Sometimes the combo goes dead.
I'm done with this. My meter has gone down on this conversation.
Our combos never go dead. They're always full of life and vitality.
All right, my homies, I love you.
All right, we love you too. Peace. Gotta answer that, right?
Yeah,
can't put him to voicemail. Yeah. He wouldn't agree to do it if he didn't know we were recording. Yeah. So. Where was I though? I mean, totally.
You were talking
aversion
about you were
therapy.
talking about your,
It was getting
your
high-tech
gag
over here.
reflex.
So this approach aligns with principles of aversion therapy, where an undesirable behavior is paired with discomfort to discourage its occurrence. By mentally associating processed foods, fried foods, alcohol, unpleasant sensations, you're leveraging this psychological technique to promote healthier eating habits. This method can help reduce cravings and consumption of these foods, supporting your overall well-being. You got to do what works for you. You got to find these little hacks. For me, the gag reflex works well.
Hey, I mean, yeah, whatever that mechanism to keep you, away from bad stuff, whatever that is, do it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay. So I wanted to share with you that.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
The fact that I throw up in my mouth 6 to 7 times a day when I think about this junk that we're surrounded with.
When I see a bag of Doritos, I just gotta go head to the bathroom and throw up.
It's that mental self-talk, doing whatever you got to do to hack it.
Story you tell yourself is the most powerful story.
Yeah.
However you need to conjure that idea in your head to get you to to follow healthier habits, good for you. Do it.
Claudio has queued up the podcast close because he's getting ready to, go about the rest of his day without us.
I just want to shout Claudio out.
Yeah, please. Let's do that. It's out of your control, Claudio.
Claudio has committed to seeing myself, and he's also helping me with, other things and content, and we're sharing these things together. And I just want to say I'm very excited to continue to see you. All right? I'm excited too. Thank you. I really mean that. I'm like super excited. I always get excited when I'm working with people, working with new people, but it's nice to just know, even if it's a little bit, just by, you sitting here with us, listening to us, goofing around sometimes, being serious, that, it's gotten you to spend a little bit more time with me. I appreciate it. All right, brother. I look forward to Paul came in the other day, and it was a nice little surprise for you, right? Wasn't that the best surprise ever?
I looked at him from behind. I said, I think it is him. Could it be? And then when he turned around, it was just a magical moment.
Awesome.
And we got to come see each other today. So
I was wondering if
you
were going to come, and I was going to let you know. But I'm like, nah, if he comes, he'll be surprised, and that'll be better. So I didn't say anything to you. Yeah.
But that's our story of Dialed In. So we're trying to impact as many people as we can, and vice versa. So, we appreciate being here and doing it with you. So thank you for allowing us the space, and best of luck on your transformation. Right now, we are living in the greatest time in human history, and if you don't see it that way, might be time to check your perspective. Look back at history and see how people lived before us. We have more knowledge, resources, and opportunities to optimize our health and longevity than ever before. Every day, we're uncovering new insights about the human body, nutrition, and performance. The world is evolving in real time, and science, medicine, and technology are on the brink of a revolution that will transform how we live, age, and thrive. We have unlimited access to information, and with that, there's no reason to hold on to old school misconceptions or limiting beliefs. If you think something is impossible, you're likely just using outdated information. The reality, we don't even know what's possible yet. The breakthroughs coming in the next 5 to 10 years with AI will redefine what it means to be healthy and high performing. So take full advantage of this time. Go all in on your health. Ditch the excuses. There's no reason to be trapped by old habits or misinformation. The truth is more apparent than ever. You have to have the power to optimize your body, mind, and life in ways past generations couldn't even dream of. Dial into your health journey with us, because the future is here and it's yours to take advantage of. Until next time, Mr. Vaccaro, I love you, bro.
I love you, bro.
Hey, I've been watching the film. You've been making me.
Thank you for listening to the Dialed In podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We want to hear from you and help you even more. So please reach out and connect with us at the dialedinpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on one of our social media accounts. And remember to stay dialed in and choose to have the most amazing rest of your day.